Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. My name is Rapha'Yah. We are going to go ahead and start off with this Parashat, and this Shabbat is a great Shabbat today, and we will take advantage of the time that we have so we can search a little bit of the scriptures, about the Hebrew scriptures of our forefathers, of Yahweh's, and in this sequence of Torah portions, we are going to learn about the Parashat, or Torah portion, Wayishlah. Wayishlah happens to be one of the eye-opening sequence on the Torah that talks about how our father Yaakov managed to get away or escape from his brother Esau. Remember that both of them were replicas. They were twins. The only difference is that one was very hairy and reddish, and the other one was normal. So, but as far as the characters are concerned, are totally different characters, one another. So let's get into it so we can see pretty much a lot of details on this Torah portion. It's number 8 on the Torah portion of the sequence in Genesis, or Bereshit 32 verse 4 through 36 verse 43. Yaakov Wayishlach, which means he sent messengers ahead of him to Esau, his brother, to the land of Seir, the land of Edom. Now, it's very interesting to understand how and why did he do such a thing like that, our father Yaakov. And the reason for it is because he knew his brother very well. Of course, that was his twin brother. He knew him very well. He knew how he acted or reacted towards so many things. In the case of the event or the situation that was many years back, roughly around 23 years, or actually 23 plus another 14, that's basically about 40 something years. Because remember that we'll see that there is a gap of time that we'll see there. What he transitioned to his brother, or the transaction of his brother and him about the birthright, and also the blessing. So this one's not like very recently. This was not like 3 years ago. This was many years behind, but the deed was done, and Esau has not forgotten him. So he swore to himself that he was going to kill him, and that's what this clash that we are about to encounter. Let's see what happens, and we will see that he sent messengers. What were these messengers? What was that needed to be said to Esau? Let's continue. Proverbs 25 verse 2. The kabod, or the esteem of a Yil Almighty, is to cover up the word. It is more honor for the kings to search out the word. And the reason why I bring this very verse, is for us to grasp the validity of the word of Yahweh, the Torah itself. There is a lot of things that are covered. There are a lot of things that are codified on the Torah of the Almighty. And the reason why I bring this very verse is for us to have courage when we search out the word of Yahweh. There is a lot of things that we need to see on the Hebrew word, and there is a lot of things that are encoded there that it is our responsibility to find out what Yahweh wants from us. It is time for us to open our eyes. It is time for us to stop believing the preacher, stop believing the Pope, start believing the rabbis. Let's search out the word for yourself. Literally, the phone are in your palm of your hands. We cannot say that we can't have any more excuses not to search out the word. We do have the capability nowadays There is more technology coming out, even more than what we have so far. So I think we don't have any more excuse for us to say I can't, because we could. So it is our responsibility to search out the word, because it's there. It's for us to ask our Abba, Yahweh Sebaot of hosts, to give us the knowledge and understanding through the Messiah, Yeshua. Now let's continue. Genesis 32 verse 7, Jacob became very fearful and is distressed. He divided the people, herds, cattle, camels with him in the wild. And the last word, which means camps, it says very clear, two machonot. Machonot is basically camps. Now, as I just mentioned a few moments ago, there is a lot of things that are codified in the Hebrew itself, the Hebrew language. And there was our responsibility to search out what is it that our Father wants from us that are encoded in the scriptures. Let's see and find out what it is. So one thing that I want to stress out to you, all of you brothers and sisters, is for you to take a notepad and a pencil and start writing everything that we bring out, because it will help you to remember. It will help you for future reference, for future Torah studies, so you can become more knowledgeable about the custom of our fathers, the custom of the Torah, what Yahweh has to say to all of us nowadays. So let's continue. So the Machonot, Yaakov also says it again. Look at, he repeats his word again. 32 verse 10. Now I become two Machonot, two camps. Now, why does it say it? Why does the Torah mention this twice? That's the real question. That's the $1 million question. And the reason for it is because there is something encoded in there that we need to look for. The word for machanat, that machanot is basically plural world of machanat. So it means field, camp, army. And let's find out what it is. Look at what it says here. Ezekiel 37:22. I will make them one nation, which means Goy, in the land on the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be the king to them all. Never again there will be two Goyim, two nations, and never again will they be divided into two kingdoms. Now, you are looking at exactly what Yaakov says. Remember that Yaakov, our father Yaakov, his name was changed in the next Torah portions. Basically, actually, in this Torah portion talks about his name was changed to Yisrael. Why? Because there is one character here and another character there. And why our Father talks about that there are two nations now in the whole nation of Israel. Remember, there are 12 tribes of Israel. 12 tribes divided into two. The northern kingdom, which are the 10 lost tribes, and the southern kingdom, which becomes as the kingdom of Judah, or the Jews, which basically is Judah and Benjamin. Now, all these you can find them in the Second of Chronicles, Second of Samuel. You can find all this. Now let's continue, and let's see what's encoded in here. John 10 verse 16. Look at the words of our own Mashiach, Yeshua. And I also have two other sheep that are not of this fold. I need to bring them, and they will hear my voice, and they will be a flock and a roe, which is a sheep herder. Now, it's very important that there are two important notes that I want to bring out. And the first one is, our Mashiach says very clear that I have another fold, another sheepfold. Which ones do you think it is? Or which one do you think it is? And it happens to be the northern kingdom. Our Mashiach himself said it very clear, I did not come but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which happens to be the northern kingdom. It is very important for us to understand that it's not just our Jewish brothers. It is also the northern kingdom. Israel, the whole entire kingdom of Israel is not compound of just the southern kingdom, which is our Jewish brothers. There is also the northern kingdom. This is what you will read today in the Jewish writings and their literature. Even the Messianic world I'm not saying all of them, but most of them, and even the Christian world understand this concept that it's only the Jews only. But the fact of the matter is that the Torah itself, even our own Mashiach, says very clear there are also other sheep, other fold, the northern kingdom. And once again, as we go along with the Torah portions throughout the whole entire year, you will find out how this works, because it's not very confusing. It's very straight, very simple, very clear as water, that there are two kingdoms. One is among the nations, and one is basically at home, which is our Jewish brothers. Now, going back here, because of that, our Mashiach says very clear, and let me bring it up to you so you can see it. He says very clear, I need to bring them, and they will hear my voice. Now, the word for hear in Hebrew means Shema. Remember that every day we recite the Shema. Chapter 6, verse 4 of book of Deuteronomy or Devarim, which says, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Boreinu, Yahweh Echad. It says very clear, listen of Yisrael. But listen is not just to hear or to listen the word of our Creator. To listen means also to obey. So our Mashiach says very clear that these sheep will hear my voice. They will obey my voice. And it's exactly what's happening right now. So let's continue. Hosea chapter 1 verse 11, and then the sons of Yehudah and the sons of Israel will be gathered together. They will appoint a chief for themselves, and they shall come forth from the earth, because that will be a great day from Israel. Israel means the Almighty saw, which means he grasps, he picks up. We have to understand that all these prophecies are coming to be fulfilled little by little in this very end of the era. Remember that we are living in the last generation. Let's continue. Jeremiah 50 verse 4, in those days, at that time, says Yahweh, the sons of Israel will come, along with whom? With the sons of Yehudah. Do you see those two
kingdoms? They weep as they go on their way, looking for Yahweh, their Ayil, the Almighty. Once again, I'm bringing one verse after another verse, that we're not making this up. This is the real deal. This is the real McCoy. We are looking at prophecies that are coming to be fulfilled little by little. As soon as our Mashiach returns, these are going to come to fruition. But we have to understand something very important. Our Mashiach gave us the Torah today. We have so much advantage today, the northern kingdom. And the reason why I say this is for the very reason I'm going to bring this very verse. Jeremiah 29 verse 12, when you cry out to me and pray to me, I will hear you. When you seek me, you will find me, provided you seek me with all your heart. Now, this is what's happening on this very age, that we are tired of traditions. We are tired of too much idolatry in our lives, in our forefathers, in our families. It is time, and a lot of people are doing this, it is time to go back to the old path, which is the Torah. And this is exactly what's happening today. 29 verse 14. And I will appear to you, say Yahweh, then I will return to their captivity. I will gather them from all the nations in place where I have thrown them, say Yahweh. And I will bring them back to the place from which I have deported them. Now let me pause here for a moment, because I want you to understand something. The word for return means to do teshuvah, which means to return. To return to what? I know it says very clear, to the nations, but remember, the prophecy will be fulfilled to go back to the nation of the land of Israel when the Mashiach returns. Mashiach have not returned. So in the meantime, we are returning to what? What captivity is that? Or from what captivity is that? From idolatry, from paganism, from traditions, from Christmas, from Halloween, from Eastern, from New Year's, and from all these pagan festivals that have no meaning whatsoever. And that's why we're going back. We are going back to our Creator, to the old path, which is the Torah. So that's why our Creator is doing this in this very age, that He's bringing us back to the Torah, to the what He intended to in the very beginning. Numbers 24 verse 4, how beautiful are your ochalecha. Ochalecha means tents, Yaakov, and your mishketonecha, which means tent of allotment, Israel. Now, the reason why I bring this is because it says in plural. Let's see that? Ochalecha. Why? Because we have to understand something very important, that it's not just our Jewish brothers that are doing this right now. It is also Ephraim, the northern kingdom. It is very important for us to open our eyes nowadays, to open to our hearts, our Creator, because He wants us back. He loves us so much. The northern kingdom, Ephraim. I don't know if you noticed this or you have realized this, but we are the firstborn. We tend to think, to have this mentality that our Jewish brothers have the authority, they have the scepter, but they don't have it anymore. They do not have it anymore because our Mashiach has it. When He came in the first century, He took that scepter. Remember what the book of Numbers says, unto Mashiach comes to take the scepter. Mashiach already came. So therefore, our Jewish brothers don't have the authority anymore, because scepter means the authority. Plus another thing, we are the firstborn. Our Jewish brothers are not the firstborn. And let me show you why. This is what's in the Matobu, is what we sing in the very first, in the beginning of Shabbat service. Matobu. This is what we sing. This is exactly what you're reading here. And this is taken from Numbers 24 verse 5. Now let's continue. 25 verse 27. While Yaakov was a quiet man who was Yosher Cholim, stay in tents. Do you see that? Now, this is written not in singular, but it's written in plural. My question to you is, why is this written in plural? And the reason why is because Yaakov was, he learned Torah not just in his father's house, which is his tent, which is Yitzhak, but he also learned it from his grandpa, which is who? Who do you think it was? It was Abraham. And also he learned it from his great-great-grandpa, which was Shem. He happens to be Melchizedek, and we learn it from the previous Torah portion. So when he says Yosher Cholim, means he stayed in the tents, which means that he wanted to learn Torah. He learned Torah so much that he needed to apply it. And remember that we looked into last week's Torah portion that he actually put it to work in his
uncles staying. Genesis 32 verse 8 saying, if Esau comes to a camp and attacks it, at least the second comes so that it will may be saved. Now, we already learned that he split the whole journey of these people into two camps. And the reason for it is because he's thinking about the collateral damage. He's thinking about who will survive this attack, because his brother come with full force. He's not messing around. He's literally coming to kill Yaakov and the rest of them. Now, we have to understand this. One thing that I do think about what Yaakov is thinking of is who can survive on this attack. So let's learn about what happens next. Genesis 33 verse 2. Putting the slaves and the sons first, Leah and her son children, and Rachel and Joseph last. This is what he is doing. You see that? He is basically thinking like a military general. And we can see it pretty much today in the military, in the army, when the generals or the commanders, they actually send just the new recruits. They send them in the very front as a collateral. But they send the more rank right behind it, and the higher rank even more so all the way in the back. He's thinking about who he actually loves. He loves Rachel. And of course, he loves Joseph. So he's leaving him very, very in the back, not in the front, just to make sure that Rachel and Joseph will survive the attack. But he's thinking even more so. And let's see why. 32 verse 22, and he got up at night, took his two wives, his two slaves and slave girls, and his two sons, and crossed the Yabbok. Now, it says 11 sons. Let's count, okay? Let's count right now. And let's think about how many sons are right now. Remember that Benjamin has not been born yet. But we have to include also Dinah. Dinah happens to be another daughter of Yaakov. So in reality, including Benjamin, it should be 13 kids, including Dinah. Okay? But in this case, because Benjamin hasn't been born yet, then it should have been right now 12. But in this verse says it's only 11. My question to you is, who's missing there? Who is missing there? In the book of Yashar, says very clear that who came to help him out to Yaakov was Yitzhak's servant, which happens to be Eleazar. Eleazar, I truly believe, that came and took Joseph and he hid him somewhere. Okay? Just to make sure that the lineage, the generation will continue, just in case of everyone would die. Now he's thinking in advance. Why is leaving Joseph? Because he's the firstborn of his beloved wife Rachel. Now it's very important, because I want you to understand that all this has its meaning. Remember what I always said in Ecclesiastes 1:9. It says very clear that what it was, it will be again, which means, in other words, the past repeats itself. Now let's continue. Because there were 11 sons, who's missing? We just said it. It happens to be Joseph. Now let's go into 37 verse 9 in Genesis. He had another dream, which he told his father and brother. Here it is. I had another dream, and there will be the sun, the moon, and 11 stars prostrating themselves before me. Now, once again, do you see the 11 again coming out? Who's missing there on the 11? Happens to be Joseph. Do you see that? Now, once again,
This is a pattern, this is a principle that we are looking at right now. Once again, what I just said, what it was, it will be again. Look at what the Mashiach, 28 of Matthew, verse 16. So the 11 Talmidim, or disciples, went to the mountain of Galilee, where Yeshua had told them to go to. How many? There were 11. Why? Because one was missing. Who happens to be? Yehuda, okay, or Judah. Ephraim, on Jeremiah 31, verse 20, Ephraim, my dearly beloved son, a child who delights me, for my words are in him. I will certainly remember him, right? I will certainly remember him. And what else? So I rushed him to help him. I will certainly have rachem, which means I will certainly have rachem over him, which means pity or mercy, he says Yahweh. Now, why are we looking at this verse? Is because Yahweh has not forgotten us. We are Ephraim. We are the northern kingdom. We happens to be the beloved son that the prophet is talking about here. And it is important for us to realize that our Creator still loves us. Okay? He still loves us so much. One of the reasons why I bring these verses is because right now, in this very day and age that we are living, which happens to be the last generation, we need to realize that we have so much to give to Yahweh. We have so much to give to our Mashiach, because we are the firstborn. We have the double portion. Once again, we have the double portion. We have not realized that. We have the double chokmah, which means the double understanding. Because of our Mashiach, Yahushua, we have that. And we do not take advantage of it. Stop looking up our Jewish brothers. We have the advantage. We have our Mashiach with us. We have the Torah. We have the living Torah, our Mashiach. And our Father, Yahweh, says very clear on this very verse that He has not forgotten us, because He loves us so much. He doesn't want us to perish. He wants us to return to Him. And I'm not just making or saying this. I want you to see it for yourself with the words of the prophets. Jeremiah 31 verse 9, because I am always a father to Israel. Look what it says here. Ephraim is who? My firstborn. It says very clear, the prophet, that we are the firstborn. We have the double portion. We have dibs. Remember that our Mashiach says very clear that the first will be last and the last will be first. Who do you think he's referring to? He's referring that our Jewish brothers are not the first anymore. They happen to be the last. And we supposed to be the last. Now in this day and age, this very last era, we are the first. We are the firstborn. Once again, it is very vital. It's a must for us to wake up. To wake up to the Torah. To wake up the real Mashiach. That there is no time to waste, that we need to return to our Creator. And that's one of the reasons why in this channel, the Torah Effects, we are bringing the Torah portions. We are working on bringing more production videos for all of you that are on their way. There's close to almost 450 to 500 productions are coming up. We're just barely starting, to be honest with you. It's just the only enemy of myself, because I'm the producer and also and the director and everything that I produce all this. It is just my worst enemy's time. But we are doing the effort to bring what we can to all of you, so you can learn more about the Torah, the real Torah, the Emet, the truth. Let's continue. Hosea 11 verse 1, when Israel was a child, I loved him. And from Israel I call his sons. Do you see that? He's talking about us. Verse 2, but the more I call them, which is us, the farther they move away from my presence. They sacrifice to the Baalim, which is the Lord's. And they offer incense to the Elohim, which are their demons, their idols. And it's very important because, see, in the book of Hosea, he's always talking about the two kingdoms, especially the northern, us. In this chapter 11, he says very clear that our Father is always being in the back, looking for us, always trying to keep us safe the whole time. Right all the way in the back, he's watching us the entire time. But we are thinking that is being our idols, is being the Virgin Mary, or this saint, or this Catholic, or this Pope, or whatever. No, our Creator is the one who's been watching out for us the whole time. And the more we think that, the more He wants to draw us near to Him, the more we moved away. And that's a fact. Look at what it says the very next verse. Verse 3, however, it was I who taught Ephraim to walk. I took him by the arms, but they knew to us that it was I who was healing them, who was guiding them through humans with reins made of love. With them I was someone who was removing the yoke from their jaws, and I bent down to fit them. Do you see that? The whole time we thought it was this saint, or it was the Pope, it was this Holy Mary, or this Virgin Mary, or the Guadalupana, or the whatever. It was not neither one of these demons or false gods. It was Yahweh's. The whole time it was our Creator, that we end up in this very presence right now. If we trace back all this zigzag that He's been bringing us and bringing us here, to realize. And there's a reason why I always say this. The reason why the Creator moved us from here to there and has bringing us now to the Emet, to the truth, is for us to realize how they work outside, how they work with their lies and deceits and all this. But there's nothing for them to bring out, because there's nothing to bring out, because it's all lies. Now that you see the real truth, and you're seeing more truth on the Torah, now you realize how the Creator works. And believe me, you will learn even more so throughout the entire year. Let's continue. Hosea verse 5, I will not return to the land of Israel, but Ashur will be their king, because they refuse to repent. The sword shall fall upon their cities, and shall destroy the bars of their gates, and shall eat their own counsels. This is what happened to our forefathers. This is what happened to them. But once again, the Creator has not forgotten us, especially in this very last generation. Verse 8, Ephraim, how can I leave you or give you up? Israel, how could I treat you like Admat or make you like Seboim? My heart shudders at the thought, while compassion swells within me. And the reason why the Creator is comparing us to Admat or Seboim is because Admat and Seboim happens to be, guess who? It happens to be the other two cities that Yahweh destroyed in Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember that it wasn't two cities that He destroyed. It happens to be 5, but one of them actually forgave because of Lot. We actually learned that a few Torah portions back. Now, he's making that comparison to make you understand that He would not do that to us, that He will forgive us. All He wants from us is to do teshuvah or shubat, which means to return. I know that in the Christian world they call it to repent, but the actual word is to return. Return to what? Return to Torah. Verse 9, I will not execute the heat of my wrath. I will not return to destroy Ephraim, for I am the Almighty and not a man, the Hakadosh among you. So I won't come in fury. And this is what our Creator wants. He just wants us to return to Him, because He's not going to destroy us. Because of our Mashiach, He's not doing that. Let's continue onto to our portions. 32 verse 6. And behold, he is coming to meet you, and with him 400 men. That's one of the reasons why Yaakov became very, very afraid. Very fearful because of him and his family. And remember this, in the book of Yasher, we're going to see it next, that he asked the Creator to protect him. He asked him to protect him, and the answer from Yahweh, he answered very with please. Protect me, protect my family, and Yahweh answered it. And look at what he does. 33 verse 1, Yaakov raised his eyes in Ra'ab, which means he saw that Esau was coming, and with him 400 men. So he divided the children between Leah and Rachel and the two maid servants. This is what he saw, but he envisioned something that we're going to talk about in a different time. But he saw, and therefore he became fearful. Look at the book of Yasher. Let's make a little bit of a switch on the gear, and let's go into the book of Yasher, 32 verse 27. On that day, Yahweh heard Yaakov's prayer, and Yahweh delivered Yaakov out of the hands of his brother Esau. See, Yahweh would not forgive the tzaddik. He would not forget the righteous or the just prayers, but he actually answers it. In this case, it was our father Yaakov. Look at what he does. Verse 29, and these malachim, or these angels, appeared to Esau and his people, about 2,000 men, mounted on horses, equipped with all kinds of instruments of war. And they appeared in the sight of Esau and all his men, divided into 4 camps, with 4 chiefs at their side. Now, remember that Esau was coming for 400, and let me pause here for a moment. Esau was coming with 400 men. Yahweh sent 3 angels, okay? Out of those 3 angels, he divided 2,000 men in each camp, okay? 4 camps, how much is that? 4 times 2 is 8,000. 8,000 men against 400. That's nothing. No wonder why Esau became what he became next. And I want you to see that. And a camp was set up, verse 30, and they found Esau coming with 400 men towards his brother Yaakov. And this camp ran to Esau, towards Esau and his people, and they frightened them. Do you see that? And Esau fell from his horse in what? In fear. And all his men separated from him in that place because they were very afraid. You see that? The thunder and the thumbling and the rumble of the horses and all these 2,000 people that were coming towards Esau. No wonder why he fell from the horse. No wonder why he was by himself when he fell off from the horse. Look at what he says, verse 31. As they fled from Esau, the whole camp shouted after them. And all the warriors answered, saying what? Look at what they said to Esau. Surely we are servants of Yaakov. Who is the servant of Yahweh? And who then will be able to stand up to us? That's a question they're asking. And Esau said to them, oh, then my master and brother Yaakov is your master, whom I have not seen in 20 years, these 20 years. And now that I have come to see him, do you treat me like this? Will you treat me like this? Do you see how he was boasting himself prior, before he attacked, or before he started coming towards his brother with 400 men? He said, I'm going to kill him. He literally had his sword ready, coming towards Yaakov. But when this happened with the 2,000, he became very afraid and his voice completely changed. And that's why he's asking those questions. Now, this happened 3 times more. No wonder happened what it happened with Yaakov and his brother. Verse 33, and the Malachim answered to him, saying, as Yahweh lives, if Yaakov have not been your brother of whom you speak, we have not left either you or your people. By Yaakov's sake, we will do nothing to them or to you. You see that? Once again, verse 29, these Malachim appeared to Esav and his people, about 2,000 men, mounted on horses, equipped with all kinds of instruments of war, and they appeared in the sight of Esau and all his men, divided into 4 camps with 4 chiefs in their sight. Now, once again, we are looking up verse after verse, and this happened 4 times. You see that? 4 times Esau fell from the horse, and 4 times these people, the Malachim, the angels, shouted to Esau to such a power and authority. No wonder why Esau went humble to his brother Yaakov. But nevertheless, you have to understand this. Esau did not forget. He concealed his hatred. And exactly what's been happening for 4,000 years, that Esau is being hiding the hatred towards Israel. It's not only our Jewish brothers, also to us too. He's been hiding for a long time that hatred. And that happens with, it's been appearing over time with the destruction of the temple, of the dark ages too. Remember the Crusades? Esau again. Okay, so once again, we can go on and on and on, that Esau is being appearing with hatred. He's been concealing that hatred for a long time, and he's been coming out with the hatred. Once again, we'll continue that in a different time, in a different video, about how this thing works with Esau for 4,000 years. Let's continue. Verse 4 of Genesis. With these instructions, here's what they said to say to my master Esau. Your servant Yaakov says, I've been living with Laban and stay until now. Now the word for stay is a Hebrew word. Remember that it's alphanumeric geometry that happens to be on this very verse, and it's the word gur. Gur means inhabit, which is 613. So what Yaakov is telling, or sending a message to his brother Esau, he's been telling his brother Esau that he's been keeping Torah with his uncle Laban. The same thing has to happen with us, or must happen to us. That just because we are in the world, just because we are living with our with the Gentile families, it doesn't mean that we will do the same as them. We need to keep that message, that what we learn, to work, to action. Remember, deeds without emunah, or I know they call it faith, but emunah is firmness, consistency. Those 2 things will work. But if you don't have the deeds and we're just learning and learning and learning, it's not going to do any good. We need to put it to work, the Torah. And this is what he's been saying, or that message that it was sent to his brother. I have observed Yahweh's 613 mitzvot. This is what he's been telling as a codified message to his brother. And I hope that the Creator gives us the understanding, to learn more and more knowledge of our Creator, especially in this day and age. I truly believe that in this last generation, we need to ask the Creator for more understanding, patience. I'm Rapha'Yah. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.